Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Welcome to the Jake Brown podcast. I have a studio audience. I don't really have a studio audience. What I do have is some different equipment. You may notice. Hopefully, the audio is a little bit better. My little wireless mics were adequate. They worked, but I just wasn't quite happy with the sound fully. There was a little bit of almost like a echo, and I know part of that's because of where I sit, or where I'm located, my little desk. It's a small space. I don't have sound panels or anything like that. But the mics, yeah, they were good, but not good enough for my listeners. My listeners deserve the best. So I brought out the mic that I had bought quite a few months ago, and I brought out the soundboard that initially I thought I was gonna use all the time, and then it just got a little too much, and I just needed to focus on getting some episodes out there, making some content, and less concerned with, the appearance, maybe how things looked. I was trying to use a webcam at one point, and it was too much. I needed to focus on the reps. I needed to just get some episodes made and uploaded and just work on my style. And I put everything in the closet. I got rid of the mic. I got rid of the soundboard. I was just doing stuff directly from my iPhone, oddly enough. And then I didn't like that. So that's when I got the little wireless mics. And that was good for a while. But have found a way to make my legitimate microphone and then this soundboard work. And I have all these cool little sound effects that I can implement now. You have, my live studio audience. Yeah. Sometimes I might even be in a big auditorium. Yeah. Yeah. I like the intimate space more. I think we're going to keep the small one. And there's some other stuff here. If I say something funny, I don't really say anything that's that funny. That's hysterical laughter. That's Eddie Murphy laughs right there. I don't give you Eddie Murphy laughs, okay? I give you Jake Brown laughs. They're much lower than that. No one's laughing hysterically at anything that I say. But I'm happy that hopefully the sound quality is gonna be better. I'm happy that I might be able to, figure out how to do a little more editing to add like some music and stuff like that in here. I'm gonna have to spend some time playing around with this stuff, but I'm excited, and hopefully you are excited as well. Um, some analytic news. I am happy to report I am up to 16 subscribers across all of my various platforms that I broadcast to: Spotify, iTunes, Amazon, and I'm still waiting on Google Podcasts. Google, hey, is anyone from Google out there? What is going on with my podcast? I have uploaded, I have submitted what you wanted submitted. Your website says it takes like up to 5 days or whatever. I've heard nothing. Like I think we're over a week at this point. So I don't know. Hopefully Google can get my stuff uploaded to that platform as well. But I feel like the overwhelming majority of people are either on Spotify or iTunes anymore. Um, but I mean, a lot of people do use Amazon, which is why I wanted to get my content on there as well. The more listeners, the better. Hopefully someday I might be able to make a little bit of money, and then I can quit my job and I can just sit in the end of this little hallway and just talk into this microphone and get paid. That would be absolutely ideal. None of us want to have like a real job. And this is something that I actually really enjoy doing, and I have fun with it. And if I could somehow parlay this into a full-time job, man, that would be unreal. But I guess I should stop saying things like, "Hey, Reese's, if you would like to sponsor me, I don't even need money. Just send me candy." I probably should not say things like that. Well, Reese's, you get a pass. You can keep your money. Just send me Reese's peanut butter cups, and I will be fine. I will be fine with Reese's peanut butter cups. But that's it. That's the only company that gets a break. Anybody else, show me the money. Show me the money. All right. Moving on. Today, I feel like the last few episodes have kind of gotten away from what the intent of what this podcast was supposed to be. And I say that knowing that as I get more comfortable with this show, uh, it's going to evolve. And I think evolution is a good thing, you know? It's okay to have an idea, a concept for one thing. And then as you kind of get up and going, it shifts and maybe it turns into something else, you know? So, my original vision for this podcast, let's keep it, fitness related. Maybe I'll just discuss like one kind of fitness thing, then I'll transition into some kind of rant, something that's bugging me, and then I'm going to end, with like my boxing corner, just an update. It's really just kind of me tracking my progress. And, I think my idea behind that was that there are other novice boxers out there who can definitely relate to the struggles I'm going through, the frustrations, the ups and the downs, the highs and the lows of learning how to box. And I wanted to document that because, I think like any sport, or any new activity that you pick up, it's all related. There's going to be highs, there's going to be lows, you're going to get frustrated, you're going to want to quit. I don't know, maybe you do quit. In my case, I found a new gym to go to because I just wasn't a good fit with the first gym. Um, so I just wanted, I don't know, I think on some level, I feel like people could, relate to that. And I don't know, I just wanted to have an opportunity to kind of say how I was feeling about that process. Um, Overall, I like how the structure, how that has gone so far, but I don't know, like anymore, I think I'm just gonna talk about things that interest me. And I'm gonna keep them fitness related, for the most part, because, overall, I want people to be healthier, to be happier. Um, to me, work-life balance, finding that balance is the most important thing that we can do, you know? Um, I I have a ridiculous amount of respect for anyone who wants to commit themselves fully to a job, and they just wanna grind and grind and grind and work their way to the top and be a CEO or whatever. Like, we need those people out there. Okay, we do. We need people like that in this world who are willing to sacrifice everything, for that goal. And please don't think that I'm bagging on you people. Not at all. Uh, that's not me. Okay, that is not me. Uh, for me, kind of what makes me tick and what makes me the happiest and what's best, for my physical health and my mental health is having good balance between my work, which I enjoy doing, but I don't want it to consume me and be my life, and my personal life, you know, which can't be everything as well because I need my job. Obviously, I have bills to pay and I need to be able to, buy stuff like equipment for this podcast so that I can do this, even though it's a hobby for right now, this stuff doesn't buy itself. Um, Finding that balance, I feel like, is important. and not going off the deep end one way or the other. And it's to me, that's that's what life's about. Find that balance, find something that makes you happy, but still have your job and enjoy it, but don't let it consume you. And it's I don't know, like as I move forward with this podcast, like I just want to talk about cool stuff, stuff that I'm interested in. You know, maybe you'll find it interesting, maybe you won't. Maybe you'll learn something, maybe you won't. My whole little rant section, hey, I got news for you. I'm going to rant about shit all the time anyway. I don't feel like I need to dedicate a segment to just ranting. I go off on tangents all the time, you know? I got one on the top of my head right now. Right now. I don't need to dedicate a segment to it. I'm probably going to have a new rant pop up in about 30 seconds that I'm not even thinking of in this moment. So I think I'm just going to do away with that. I really do enjoy my Ask Bard because I don't know. It's like, okay, I can have like the human opinion, but what's wrong with getting the AI opinion too? Or asking AI some weird questions and just see kind of what pops up. I mean, I'm not like some super deep thinker or anything. Like I'm not going to ask it, secrets of the universe, but I'm going to ask it probably I'm going to ask it some dumb shit most of the time because I just want to see what AI is going to say, you know? Um, so yeah, and I'm gonna always continue, to document my boxing journey. It's important to me. Feel like there's a lot of life lessons in there, and I'm not gonna go away from that. It may not happen every single day, but that segment's not going away anytime soon. Um, all right, let me get a drink of water here. I just got done working out, and man, yesterday I rode dirt bikes with my friends, and I hadn't ridden for quite a while. I'm normally the kind of person I try to get out a couple times a week um, to ride, and when I ride, I'm usually doing anywhere from 40 to 50 miles at a time of just trail riding, single track. I'm not a motocross guy. I don't like going off jumps. Being in the air freaks me out. If I jump, I'm not more than like 2 feet in the air, 3 max. Those dudes that race Supercross and are jumping 40 feet in the air, uh, those guys are nuts. Those guys are absolutely nuts. That is, I am not wired like that. Flying through the air is not in my DNA. So, I have a crazy amount of respect for anyone who dares to go out on a motocross track and clear tabletops and hit whoops and you know just fly over doubles. And I've ridden on track a handful of times, and it always ends up with me like bruising ribs somehow, or like a concussion. Every single time. I can't think of one time that I've been to a motocross track that I haven't bruised ribs to the point where I just had to stop my day. Like, I'm not about that life. Uh, I do love, trails, though. Trails are more my jam. Getting out in the woods, it's nice and peaceful, especially as, winter rolls in, up here in Washington. Um Cold, rainy days. You'll see some people out there, but for the most part, the trails are pretty empty, and it's actually really peaceful when you get up there in the forest. So anyone on the fence about getting a dirt bike, I suggest get a dirt bike. Doesn't matter what kind. Just get out and get a dirt bike and just go ride in the woods. It's very therapeutic. Uh, it's painful at times. Like you're gonna fall down, you're gonna hurt yourself, but It's like anything, just like literally like with boxing, with what I do, the more you do it, the better you're gonna get. And I'm at a point now where I'm not like some great rider, um, but I'm much better than I was. That's been maybe, I don't know, a year and a half? No, 15 months. I think I got my dirt bike about 15 months ago. And night and day, the improvement from when I first started. And I gauge it based on how close I can keep my friend Brian in view when we ride. He always goes out in front, otherwise, I'm just holding him up. So that way he can go as fast as he wants. I can go as fast as I want. And I'm not in his way. And, if he gets too far in front, he stops and waits. But my whole goal is how long can I keep Brian in sight? Okay. How long? is it, is it 10 turns? Is it 5 turns? Is it 20 turns? Who knows? It kinda depends on where we are. Uh, when we ride in Capitol Forest, I'm a little more familiar with those trails because that's kinda like my home area. So, I can go much faster in Capitol, compared uh, to Huya, which is in Belfair. He's a little more familiar with those trails, so he usually gets away from me much quicker, but I'm keeping him in sight a lot longer now, which tells me that my skills have improved, and that makes me happy. Plus, it's just fun to go fast. I mean, the single track, the tight technical stuff is fun too, but there's no substitute for speed. And whether you're on a road race bike doing 160 miles an hour, like that's fun. But so is being on tight trails and you're only doing 40 and it feels like you're doing 160 because the trees and bushes are 2 feet from your head. Like that's a lot of fun too. Both hurt when you crash, so I feel like those kind of cancel each other out. Uh, but the same holds true, man. Speed is speed and fun is fun, and I'm enjoying riding dirt bikes, and it was a lot of fun going. But I'm sore today. Oh my god! Like last night, I was not sore at all, and then this morning, man, my back was all tight. And then at the gym today, like trying to do stuff with the kettlebells, I could just feel it, like right in between my shoulder blades. That whole part of my upper mid back, was super tight, super tight. Took forever to get loosened up. But that's not gonna stop me. We're going riding again this weekend, and I cannot wait. All right, enough about dirt bikes. I'm sure I'll talk more dirt bikes at some point, but not today. Today, I wanted to talk about uh, technology as it relates to sports and/or health and fitness. And the reason I wanted to talk about this, there's quite a few reasons. Health and fitness definitely has come a long way, even like from when I was a kid. You know, training is better, nutrition is better, just the knowledge base that we have, as trainers, as coaches, as teachers is so much better, than it was when I was a kid, in the 80s. And think of how it was in the 60s and the 40s. Athletics has come so far. Think of like some of those. I don't even remember what Super Bowl it was, but I think it was like the Raiders. I know the game was in New Orleans, and I don't remember who the Raiders were playing in that Super Bowl. They won, but what was hilarious, like that season, like they would have players literally just ripping heaters on the sideline, just smoking cigarettes during the game. Could you imagine? Could you imagine turning on a football game right now and seeing Patrick Mahomes smoking a cigarette like during the game? In between possessions, the defense is on the, let's say Mahomes and the offense goes 3 and out, and he jogs back to the sideline, sits down. One of the coaches, sticks an iPad in his lap to show him some formations. He's on the phone talking to the offensive coordinator, and then he just pulls out a cigarette and starts smoking. Like, wouldn't that be the weirdest thing ever? Now it would be, not back in the 70s. Like, you would see athletes smoking cigarettes during games. Huh? Huh? I mean, and back then, people thought cigarettes were healthy anyway. People would lose their they would lose their minds. They would lose their minds if they saw athletes, oh, the role models. They're role models. The kids now are gonna smoke cigarettes on the sidelines. God, I can just see social media now blowing up if that were the case. But that was the case. 40, 50 years ago, that was the case. People did that. So just look how far we've come since then. Athletes aren't smoking on the sidelines anymore. That's amazing. Um, but I think, overall, obviously, technology has helped athletes become the best versions of themselves possible. All right. Now, there's no substitute for dedication and commitment and hard work and all that stuff. Okay. There's no substitute for that. And I'm not saying that there is. But, I mean, let's be honest. The human body can only do so much. Some people are more gifted than others, whether it's genetics, whether it's intelligence, whatever it may be. Okay. If you can take the people who are the most athletic or the most gifted and then give them the best possible tools to improve on what they already have, I mean, that's essentially what we have now with our athletes, with our professional athletes. Okay. I was listening to a podcast. I don't know if you listen to the Bill Simmons podcast. He's a sports journalist. He's been around for decades. Um, and he was interviewing one of my favorite all time people, Malcolm Gladwell. Malcolm Gladwell. He's a Canadian. He's a runner. He's an author. He's a thinker. He's he's an amazing person to listen to. My thing is, if Malcolm Gladwell is talking, shut the fuck up and listen. Okay? He's one of those kinds of people. There aren't many of those kinds of people. There aren't many shut the fuck up and listen kinds of people. He's one of them. All right? So anytime and he hosts his own podcast, it's called Revisionist History. I'll give it a plug. It's a great podcast. It will make you smarter. Listen to it. You will learn something from season 1, episode 1, all the way through his most recent season, which is now. He's still putting out new episodes. Uh, Revisionist History is an amazing podcast. So give it a listen. He was on Bill Simmons, and they were talking essentially technology, but as it relates to marathon runners. Because recently, and by recently, I mean this year, the world record for men's and women's marathon has been broken. All right. In 2019, though, it was broken, but it was unofficial. Okay. I don't want to say it was like a publicity stunt because this person still ran the marathon. Where the controversy came about was a lot of people were saying the shoes that he was wearing caused the time. Now, what was significant about that time, this person and I'm gonna say his name, but I'm gonna absolutely butcher it because I'm just terrible at names, and I don't follow marathons as closely as I should. Uh, E well, his last name is Kipkachi. We'll say that. That's easier. I can't pronounce his first name. Eliud Kipchoge. He was the first known human, all right? There's 7 billion people on Earth. Maybe someone somewhere ran faster and we just don't know about it because there's 7 billion people on this Earth. However, he was the first known human to ever break the 2-hour barrier in a marathon. Think about that. He ran sub 2 hours for an entire marathon. He ran a 1 minute or 1 hour, 59 minute and 40 seconds. Now, that happened in Vienna. If I'm not mistaken, the course for the most part was I think it was all flat. I don't believe that there were really any hills involved. Uh, and he had pace runners that were essentially rotating in to help maintain his pace. Um, the controversy though was because of the shoes he was wearing. Okay, he's a Nike athlete, and Nike made these special shoes that people were alleging made it possible for him to run much faster than what he's capable of running. I don't know. I mean, he had never run that fast prior to wearing those shoes, and I don't believe he's run that fast post wearing those shoes. And the official world record now by Kelvin Kiptum is 2 hours even and 35 seconds. Okay. I don't know whether the shoes made that big of a difference. Uh, he still ran the time regardless of the shoes. If anything, I think the pace runners may have played more of a role because when you're at that level of running, you're not running with a group. There are probably a handful of people on Earth who can run with him over the course of a full marathon. Very few people are able to run his pace. Very, and even fewer people are able to maintain that pace. So the fact that he had, and I don't remember how many it was, I mean, 10, 15 pace runners that were rotating in, staying in front of him for so many miles, and then peeling off, and then a fresh one would come in. So he constantly had someone to chase. Great strategy, and the whole point of what that was to break that 2-hour barrier. Um, what I found interesting was that, and maybe I'm remembering this wrong, but it appeared to me that Malcolm Gladwell was saying the shoes were the reason behind that, and maybe maybe I don't know. The guy still ran the time. That's my thing. He still ran a full marathon, 26 miles plus what is it, 26.3 miles, something like that. He still ran the full marathon sub 2 hours. I don't care what shoes he's wearing. That is unbelievable. Like, that's unbelievable. I would like to see any athlete out there do something in whatever their respective sport is, come as close to that feat as possible. I'm trying to think of like what an equivalent would be. Like maybe when Wilt Chamberlain scored 100 points in one basketball game, okay? I mean, he's the only person to ever do that. I believe Kobe scored 81 or 82. That's the next closest. And that was like 40, 50 years later that that happened. A lot of guys have scored in the 60s. A small handful have scored in the 70s. Kobe is the only one to get in the 80s, and then it's Wilt, who had 100. And he still had like, I don't know, like 30 rebounds and 20 assists and like 20 block shots. All that in one game. Like that stat line was just stupid. You know, that stat line was ridiculous. That's probably the closest to what this is. Okay. I don't hear anyone making excuses or putting asterisks by that, you know? So to me, this man still ran the time. Shoes or no shoes, I don't really care. The fact that he was essentially able, I mean, what's that come out to? That's like a 4:30 mile. That's like a 4:30 mile for the entire marathon. I can't I don't know if I can ride a bicycle in a mile in 4 minutes and 30 seconds. Like that's insane to be able to run that fast for that long. It's insane. So this might be the only time that I don't know, like maybe I kind of disagree with Malcolm. I think I kind of disagree. I get where he's coming from, and there is part of me that, okay, he didn't do it before and he hasn't done it since, but I feel like it was more the course layout and the pacers that played more of a role rather than just the shoes alone. To just say that the shoes caused a sub 2-hour marathon, to me that's kind of silly, you know. Um, Fun fact: when that women's world record was broken, and I'm gonna butcher her name as well. It's Tigist Sefa. God, I'm terrible at names. She broke the world record. She ran at 2 hours, 11 minutes, 53 seconds at the Berlin Marathon. I was there. I was there cheering on my friend Amy Hebert, who was also running that marathon, and my friends Chris and Brad were there, and it was a little high school reunion. We all went to Berlin and we watched Amy run, and it was so kick-ass, and we had the best time. And the fact that a world record also fell that day, pretty amazing. That was pretty amazing. Okay. And people were talking shit about that too, you know? Like, here's the thing: world records are going to fall. Okay. There's going to come a point where sub 2 hours for the men and the women are probably going to be normal. It might take another 50 years, but it's probably going to be normal. All right. Those baby steps happen though at some point, and this right here, this woman running a 2 hours, 11 minute, 53 seconds was just one of those baby steps that slowly raises the bar. It slowly raises the bar, slowly raises the bar. Okay. It's not going to be these drastic jumps, these huge drops in time. It's going to be half a second here, a quarter second here, 3/4 of a second there, maybe over the course of 5 years, you know? But in that time, that world record may have been lowered by almost 2 seconds. But why? Like, what is causing that? Technology, I think, does play a role into it. But it's not just the equipment because in running, the athletes still have to run the race. There's no substitute for running the race. All right. But I think it's a lot of the behind the scenes uh, diets are so much better than they used to be. You know, what we know now about nutrition was not known 40 years ago. Or if it was said, you were called a lunatic for saying it. Like, training is so much better. Understanding I think understanding recovery has been a huge factor in athletes becoming better. Now, there's always gonna be some athletes that say, "Oh, look, I train 7 days a week, 2 hours a day." Like, okay. Like, we know that that's not smart now, alright? Your muscles will actually grow and get stronger as you're resting. So to never have rest days is just silly. Um, the ways that we recover now, the hyperbaric chambers, um, the use of massage therapy, um, the what is it? The blading techniques. Like, I've had that blading done on my Achilles, and oh my god, it's brutal, but oh my god, does it work? Like, there's so much in the way of physical therapy and the whole athletic training aspect to getting an athlete prepared to compete that I just don't think was the case, back in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. Um, and of course, there are always going to be people who will push the boundaries from a steroid standpoint. And, you know, uh, I have my opinions on that, but I don't want to get into the steroid debate on this. Steroids are not going away, and if anything, they're getting more popular amongst some athletes and some disciplines. Um, but you know, these Olympic runners and, like, athletes that are as high profile and in those kinds of events, they are drug tested. I mean, there's a lot of debate as to how good the drug testing is and, how political it is. I mean, you look at, professional cycling, like, Jesus, like, steroids runs rampant through there, but at least everyone's doing it. So, you know, we still know who the best is because they're all juicing. Um, so along that lines, I was kind of thinking, hey, like, who or what athletes transcend eras? Like, if I were just to take an athlete like Wilt Chamberlain, for example, and I popped him in the NBA today, just plopped him down. Hey, you're in the starting lineup for the 76ers. How would he do? Well, I think Wilt would still be Wilt. I think he would dominate. I think his game transcends eras. Ridiculously tough defense, rebounding, and he just dunks the ball constantly in your face, just like Shaq did. Players like that, it doesn't matter when you plop them down, what era it would be. Michael Jordan, doesn't matter when he puts on a pair of basketball shoes, what era. It could be in the year 2350. Prime Michael Jordan is still going to be Michael Jordan. He's still going to dominate. He's that good. All right. Same with LeBron. Same with Tom Brady. I think Barry Bonds, Pete Rose, such a dominant hitter. Ted Williams, such a dominant hitter. They didn't have to be the most athletic. I think my most controversial take, and I've actually taken some shit on this before, uh, I don't think Babe Ruth translates to today's baseball. I just don't think he does. I don't think he even plays college baseball. I think he walks on to JUCO, and that's about it. He was People are, oh, well, he's 6 foot, 200 pounds. Like, okay, so's every eighth grader out there now. He was slow. He didn't throw very hard, and he was fat. Let's be honest. The guy was not healthy. So if I just took Babe Ruth in his prime and plopped him down in today's baseball, he's not hitting anything. He's not striking anybody out, and you can't put him in the outfield because he can't run. And I'm sure people are going to think I'm absolutely nuts for saying that. Well, I think you're absolutely nuts for thinking that he could just play in any era. I don't think that he could. I just don't think that he could. All right. God, I'm transitioning by the way now. I want to get into my Ask Bard. I have been on an absolute obsessive going down the rabbit hole on animals mauling and murdering and eating other animals. Like my Instagram feed, which mhm, for this show, Twitter and Instagram at Jake Brown Pod. Feel free to give me a follow. My feed has just turned into animals eating other animals constantly. And not just like, oh, and like an eagle catching a fish and you don't see the expression on the fish's face. I'm talking like tigers and like these African wild dogs like ripping deer into pieces while they're screaming bloody murder. Like it is absolutely fascinating and terrifying to me. Komodo dragons? Are you fucking kidding me? Have you seen these things? They're like 10 feet long and 300 plus pounds, and they will eat a fucking goat in 5 bites, and then they just sit and stare at you. They will just stare at you. Like you can just see 65 million years of dinosaur in their eyeballs as they just look at you like you are a snack. It is unbelievable. Some of the videos I've seen, you can hear the animal screaming as it's being swallowed and the Komodo dragon's mouth is closed. Fuck that shit. So here's one thing I learned about Komodo dragons because when you do it when you do a deep dive, you got to learn about it. Recently now, these people who study these fucking crazy psycho creatures, they have these like venomous kind of glands in their mouth, and when they bite a creature, and what they'll do, like if they get like a big bison that they can't take them down, they'll bite them in the leg, and that venom gets in their bloodstream, like in the bison's bloodstream, and then the Komodo dragon just chills out, and they know that within a couple weeks, that bison is going to be so weak it can't get away. So that's why a lot of these videos you'll see Komodo dragons, it's like they're attacking animals that are just laying there not trying to get away. Well, the initial bite may have happened a couple weeks prior. And then they just go in for the kill. And let me tell you, these things are there to kick some ass. They rip heads off, they rip legs off. I saw one, it ripped the belly open of like some fucking deer. It ripped its baby clean out of its belly and just ate the baby. And then they ate the mom. And I'm just sitting there just mortified, staring at my phone, and I can't look away. And then I find more videos. And then I find more videos. And then I find more videos. And that's what I've been watching now. Like this whole weekend, anytime I'm on Instagram, that's what I'm watching. Just animals mauling other animals. And I cannot get enough of it. It's so cool. Just go to YouTube, go to Instagram, go to Twitter, whatever. Just find some videos of just animals, tigers, lions, cheetahs, crocodiles are cool. Oh my god, when those bison are trying to cross rivers and those crocodiles are just picking them off one at a time. OMG. It is so gross, but it's so fascinating. Could you imagine being eaten alive by a fucking crocodile? Hell no. Or a polar bear? Or a grizzly bear? Oh, and speaking of grizzly bears, hey, here's how stupid men are. There was some poll that was done. There's actually a percentage of men, okay? And I say men, it's not fucking women because women have a brain, all right? There's a percentage, and it's a small percentage, of men who think they could win in a fight against a grizzly bear. I'm going to say that again. There is a percentage of men who think they can win in a fight against a fucking grizzly bear. Are you insane? You're not winning a fight against a grizzly bear. There are a lot of guns that won't even kill a grizzly bear because their skin and fur is so thick, it won't even do any damage. What are you going to do? What are you going to do to a bear that stands up and is like 10 feet tall and weighs 1,000 pounds and has claws the fucking size of kitchen knives and is always hungry and usually not in a good mood? Imagine how your spouse is when they are hangry, okay? Imagine how you are when you are hangry. Now imagine a fucking grizzly bear that's hangry. Hey, stupid men who think you could win a fight against a bear. You can't. You can't win that fight. Run. Oh, you can't even run from them because they'll fucking hunt you down. Those things run like 40 miles an hour. You're screwed. Stay out of the woods. There's no grizzly bears where I ride dirt bikes, at least. So I've seen some deer. If I ever see a grizzly bear, I don't know what I'm gonna do. It's night night. Night night for me. I asked Bard what some of the most dangerous, vicious, and terrifying animals to ever exist on Earth. There's a Tyrannosaurus Rex. There's one that's called a Spinosaurus that's actually larger than the T Rex, oddly enough. It has a crocodile snout and it just eats everything. A megalodon, which is bigger than the biggest great white shark. I mean, could you imagine running into a great white shark and then seeing a megalodon, which is like 3 times the size? Fuck that shit. There's a Leviathan melvillei. I can't even say that. This thing is described as a giant sperm whale that lived during the, I can't even say what that is, the largest predatory whale to ever exist, even larger than modern sperm whales. I can't even say what this one is, but it looks like a crocodile on steroids. A fucking crocodile on steroids. Imagine the biggest crocodile you've ever seen, and this one's way bigger than that one. I don't know, man. I think we're pretty lucky that we didn't have to deal with a lot of dinosaurs, you know? I mean, there's a lot of scary animals now, like a lot of scary animals now, but none of them were as big as the Spinosaurus. Those things will just rip the roof off your house and eat you like you're a fucking jelly bean. I know. Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Does anybody like going to the zoo? I've been to the Portland Zoo and I've been to Point Defiance. My favorite animals are the penguins. The penguins are like my favorite animals. I love watching the penguins. Um, I love to see the polar bears though. And I know like they're not in their natural habitat. You know, they look kind of ratty almost. I mean, they don't look super happy. You know, they want to be up in the North Pole killing seals, but instead they're looking at a bunch of fucking humans staring at them, taking pictures with their phones. But they sure are cool. It's amazing how big those things are. You know, it's unreal. Oh, but there's people out there that think they can fight a fucking bear. Like, just stop it. You're not fighting a bear and winning. You'll fight. You can fight a bear. You can fight one all day. You'll lose. Every time you'll lose. Unless that bear somehow slips and falls off a fucking cliff and then dies. Mind you, it has to die because if it doesn't die, it's going to climb back up the cliff and then finish killing you. You're dead. You're dead. All right, that's my show for today. I appreciate everyone who has subscribed. Again, you can find me on Spotify, iTunes, Amazon Music, and hopefully Google Podcasts at some point. Everyone, enjoy the rest of your day, and I will chat with you tomorrow.